Hello and welcome to the ACPE Education Hub. My name is Jess Schwartz and I'm the Programs Manager at Sport New South Wales. During this session, I'll be discussing careers in sport and the broad range of opportunities out there for you to turn your passion for sport into a career. So careers in sport are not only for the fittest, fastest and strongest. You definitely don't need to be athletic to enjoy a long career in the industry. You'll spend 1/3 of your life at work, and for a lot of people, it's really important to have a job that fulfills your life holistically and not just one that pays well. This might not be the case for everyone, which is totally fine, but for some of us, we couldn't picture ourselves working anywhere else. Very briefly, a little bit about me. My name's Jess, and I've spent my entire working career across sports administration, operations and events, mostly within rugby league, which is the sport that I'm most passionate about. I'm definitely not athletic. At school, I never made a rep team, and I was more likely to injure myself than score the goal. I developed a love for all sports, and I was always the first one there to support any team I could. Following high school, I was lucky enough to score an entry-level job within rugby league, and while I worked, I took the time to complete courses in areas that I wanted to develop within myself and that I was most interested in. This includes event management, mental health, athlete development and wellbeing. Currently, I'm working with Sport New South Wales as the Programs Manager, developing and delivering programs and events that benefit the entire New South Wales sports sector, and in my spare time, I'm Team Manager of the West Tigers Women's Rugby League team. I would say that the highlight of my career in sport so far has been my time with the 2017 Rugby League World Cup. A little bit about Sport New South Wales. Sport New South Wales is the peak industry body for New South Wales state sporting organisations, which, for example, are organisations like Netball New South Wales, Hockey New South Wales, Water Polo, Ice Hockey, and the state bodies for disability sports like Blind Sports New South Wales, Boccia, Goalball and more. We exist to support our members and promote, strengthen and advocate for the sector. We achieve this by working closely with the organisations to ensure that they're being heard by government and they're getting the support they need to succeed. We manage the state's recognition and reward events, such as the New South Wales Community Sports Awards for volunteers and the New South Wales Champions of Sport ceremony, which includes the Hall of Champions and the New South Wales Sports Awards. We also develop and host networking opportunities for the sports broadly to engage, promote collaboration and provide professional development and knowledge share. So the main message that I want you to take away is that it's absolutely fine to be passionate about and pursue a career in sport. This hasn't traditionally been the most encouraged, as it was assumed that there were no opportunities or it wasn't a real career choice. Now my network is filled with successful, supportive and passionate people that have achieved great things for their organisations and in the community. And this could absolutely be you in the future. So why choose to pursue a career in sport? What are the benefits? Well, it's exciting. A career in sport and rec can be absolutely electrifying. You might be supporting athletes to success or managing a competition through a season. It's considered a dream job for many people who use their free time and money outside of their own careers to attend sporting events or to participate themselves. Like me, you might be a bit of a geek and you get really excited about things like new facilities or really well-run events or game days. Working in sport and rec can be really rewarding. Participating in physical activity benefits a person's physical, mental and social well-being and can provide opportunity for elite success on the world stage. At a community level, there really isn't much better than seeing a kid take the field for the first time or finish their first game. At the elite competitions level, it might be being part of a team that enables an athlete to post a personal best, win a grand final or take gold. When working in major events, your reward comes from the smiles and cheers of the fans in attendance and putting on really great events with no major incident. Overall, sport has the means to really benefit people's lives, and it's humbling to play a small part in that. There are so many options to work within the industry. Working in sport can unlock doors to complementary career paths without changing industry. For example, you might start as a teacher, moving on to a community engagement officer or development officer within a club, to pathways programs, to manager. You might start at reception, move on to marketing and grow into a sponsorship and partnerships role. You are not stuck in one career or even in one sport. Once you're in, you can open up a network of contacts and career paths while you find your way through what you're really good at and what you enjoy most. The great thing about sport is it's a leveler. It's so diverse, providing opportunities for all regardless of gender, ability, disability, race, religion, class or sexuality. In Australia, a large percentage of the population was born overseas. We speak 260 different languages, 1 in 5 people live with a disability, and around 3% of the population identify as LGBT. Some great examples here are the work that the GWS Giants have done to engage the local multicultural community, and that Water Polo New South Wales and the Sydney Stingers clubs have done to celebrate and promote LGBTI inclusivity. Sport is a great vehicle for social change. Teachers and government have long used sport to drive home important messages about inclusion, health, and the sports themselves run important campaigns and hold benefits to benefit mental health, equality, and bring awareness to racism and bullying. Your work is recognisable. Your hard work can actually be seen and measured through athlete success, through increased participation, growth of the sport, or improved engagement with the community. Results, good or bad, can be reported on all levels. And so it's important for you to go home at the end of the day and say, hey, I contributed to that, then sport's definitely an option for you. While we're here, it's also important to remember that working in sport is someone's dream jobs, and sometimes with that it can be a challenge at times. Especially when working in a recognisable organisation with fans and media, there can be difficult conversations to have with passionate fans who think that they could do your job for free, or that they would do it way better, or that someone might not agree with the referee decision on the weekend, or they're parents of a participant that's not happy with the coach. We all know that every job has its drawbacks, and hopefully when you take a step back and look at the big picture, the positive of the time spent and the rewarding nature of working in sport can outweigh any negative outside noise. So, what does a career in sport look like? So taking into consideration the entire sector, from large participation sports to small, from grassroots development to elite competition, and sport as a business, just how many jobs out there for people to say that they work in sport? These tiles are hopefully just an overall view of the broad range of careers within the sports sector that are out there, and prove that no matter your specific passion or skill set, that there is a way that you could be involved and contribute. So if we're starting from the top left, fitness might be working with the general public in gyms and as a personal trainer, writing programs that improve people's health. Leisure, because physical activity doesn't always look like a structured competition or training session. It's important for children, the elderly, and people with disability especially to find physical activity in any form and in whatever way engages them. Local councils' sport and rec departments coordinate outdoor activities and school holiday programs to get their diverse communities moving. Events. From experience, it takes a small army to run game days and major events like tournaments, stadium games, or awards presentation ceremonies. If the event's being broadcasted on TV, you need a production crew and techs, and for the larger organisations, you'll have sponsors and corporate commitments to meet around the venue at the same time. This requires a strong events manager across all aspects, and they really are the unsung heroes of any grand final, state of origin, or local derby that you've enjoyed in person or on TV. Getting down to the business of sport, and this is the really big one. There are just so many roles in the state sporting organisation or elite club or any system. Honestly, I'm not even sure that with this list I've captured it all. This list alone should show that no matter what your skill set is, you could have a really successful career in sport. Everything from team operations, booking travel, organising contracts, facilities, gear and staffing, to membership and ticketing, media and comms, which incorporates graphic design, content creation and social media, to finance, legal and human resources, without which no organisation could run effectively. A big one that I've missed there is data analysis, whether that be for performance or for community demographics to allow your organisation to target areas of growth. This is an exciting part of the business of sport at the moment. If numbers and trends are your thing, I'd recommend looking up Active Exchange's Sports Eye platform to see what they're doing in the space. A good way to appreciate a long list like this is to jump on LinkedIn and find your favourite sporting organisation's profile. Click there and go to People, which will list all of their employees that are using LinkedIn. I'd encourage you to have a look through and take a note of all of the job titles there and the departments that they cover. You might find something that speaks to you or that you're interested to learn more about. There are plenty of sport-specific roles in the changing world of media, broadcast production, and also as a journalist or a photographer. This is a rapidly changing space at the moment and something that you might be interested to keep an eye on. Over to wellbeing, which is a department that I'm really passionate about and that I wanted to highlight separately as it's a growing space within the industry. Athlete wellbeing in elite programs, especially large organisations, will have people working in this space full-time. They ensure that the athletes are supported and developed as healthy, well-rounded individuals, as well as hitting their peak performance physically. Especially important in sports where athletes will spend their high school years preparing and training to compete, as they might miss or underdevelop important milestones in their identity and career interests outside of competition. A mentor could be anyone within the coaching staff or a specifically employed person across the organisation for people to feel comfortable having conversations with. Being part of an elite sports team is a dream for a lot of people. I'm sure that there are a lot of you watching who are studying or thinking of pursuing a career in this space. Behind every athlete's success is a network of coaches, physios, S&Cs and managers that have helped them on their way and without which they could not have been as successful. This can be a challenging area to break into, but working hard, building your contacts can open doors over time. Specialising in coaching doesn't always mean just a head coach or generally part of the coaching staff, which is why I wanted to show this separately as well. There are roles in this space for skill-specific coaches that cross codes. You could be a speed and strength training coach who might be able to benefit sprinters and athletics, but also rugby league players looking to improve their speed. You might be focusing on agility or jumping, which works for netball, basketball, but also in AFL. In coaching, there's also people who will effectively train the trainers, who present the philosophy of coaching and work with coaching staff to improve their skills for best results when those coaches then work with their athletes. Getting around to development, this could be a development officer going out into the community, running schools programs and engaging the community on behalf of their organisation's brand. You're also looking there at pathways development, which is identifying athletes to move up to the next level into a club structure or a program and providing the program's clear direction to take athletes to the top level and support for every athlete within it. Development could also include state sporting organisation staff that manage grassroots competitions and seasons and the mountains of work that come with that, including all aspects like judiciary, registrations, referees appointments, accreditations, and generally just keeping the state comp churning out future superstars. This is the platform that all elite sport comes from, and there are so many unsung heroes in the small sports space that have worked incredibly hard here. And lastly, an easy one, which is teaching at primary or high schools. Whether that be sport-specific high schools like Westfields or just public and private, teachers can be an athlete's first coach and a major influence on their sporting pathway. That was a lot to get around, but there are honestly just so many opportunities to have a career in sport and to use your strengths to benefit your day-to-day working life. So I wanted to share with you a couple of examples that you'll recognise to reinforce that it really does take a village to achieve success in sport. Our world tennis #1, Ash Barty. You might recognise the adorable photo on the left that was shared widely as Ash became the 2021 Wimbledon champion. This is of her first win as a 6-year-old in Ipswich. On Ash's journey to world champion, she would have come into contact or have been directly or indirectly benefited by the work of countless tennis coaches, development staff, administrators, teachers, physios, doctors, rehab staff, managers, promoters, journalists, and everyone else. Despite being an individual sport athlete, in an interview I found, Ash attributed her success to her team, which includes head coach, manager, mentor, physio, trainer, and more. All of these people's careers and life's work play a vital role in just one person's success. And although they don't get to hold the trophy, they know that they contributed to the result. And now for a team sport. This is the West Tigers NRL team for 2021. In it, you have about 30 players, as well as head coach Michael Maguire in the middle, and the support staff around the side, which includes Ronnie Palmer, the trainer, Simon Dwyer, ex-player who does analysis for them, and Jimmy, their team manager and leadership mentor. Now, if we take a look at the whole organisation, we add the countless behind-the-scenes staff that cover community, media, marketing, events, operations. On the right, I can see their pathway staff who manage all of the major comps teams below NRL, male and female. There's HR, finance, the CEO, and everyone else. There's about 40 staff who work hard every day to put those players in the best position to succeed. So what steps can you take now to pursue a career in sport? You can pursue your passions and find your why. Decide what makes you happy and what's going to keep you motivated to work hard every day. It's about what gets you out of bed and what's going to allow you to maintain a healthy work-life balance. I definitely recommend taking the time to identify and choose a career where you can use your strengths. Are you good with numbers? Are you a strong communicator? Are you more creative? It may take time for you to find a role that suits you the most, maybe even a few steps down the wrong career path. But as long as you know that whatever your strengths may be, somewhere in the sports sector, there will be a way for you to make a career. Working in sport will affect your lifestyle. It may seem obvious, but careers in sport, including events, coaching, and community sport, will require a commitment of long hours and weekends. It is also so rewarding. It's also important to remember that as sports can receive a lot of media attention and scrutiny from members, you should really maintain a strong personal brand and presentation at all times. Take time to learn the ropes. Research the organisation's structure. Offer to volunteer or intern to build your skills and knowledge base to help fill your resume. Understand the pathway development structure rather than just wanting to be involved with the top level straight away. All of these can put you a step ahead of other candidates applying for similar roles. Get connected. I can't urge you enough to take full advantage of work placement opportunities while you're studying. And if you're completing a course with ACPE, they have great connections through Sport New South Wales and directly to state sporting organisations that can assist you here. Work placement is a time to make connections, prove your work ethic, and ask silly questions. Remember that you might not get a job with that organisation straight after work placement, but they may recommend you or dismiss you as a future reference for roles that you might apply for. To an extent, you can also improve your connections on LinkedIn. Again, you go through the organisation's page for their staff that work in similar roles to what you're interested in. There's a strong sports biz community on LinkedIn, and while you might not get a reply to every comment, you can try your hand to ask for advice and build a network. Some things to consider. The Sport New South Wales newsletter, Blues E-News, is available for anyone to sign up to at sportnsw.com.au. We share news from around the sector, opportunities and grants available. For jobs, Sports People and Sports Huddle are always good to keep an eye on. Sports People is sportspeople.com.au and Sports Huddle is a new website focusing on short length contracts, which is sportshuddle.co. Again, LinkedIn, start engaging, building your network, even just taking the time to observe how other people in the industry interact. Work placement and volunteering. Don't pass up opportunities to build your experience and make a good impression on people within the industry. The more you put into work placement, the more you'll get out of it. ACPE offers courses in all aspects of the sports industry, as well as strong connections with organisations for work placement. If any of the careers I went through in this presentation interest you, you might look at studying business and management, performance and coaching, health, and sport and exercise science, coaching certificates and sports trainer accreditation. Always good to have in advance if you're looking to work in the coaching space. Reach out to Sports Medicine Australia for information. Their website is a great resource. This also includes first aid because it's always valuable to have a current first aid certificate, but never more so that when you're at a big sporting event in a crowd and someone needs help. A working with children check. I always recommend to people to have an up-to-date working with children check when applying for jobs. It's about $80 to renew every 5 years, and it looks like you're prepared and you know what is required to work in the space. My last couple of things to leave you with. Remember, sport is a business. While it's great to be a huge sports fan and super excited at the thought of working in the space, when applying for jobs or taking part in work placement, it's always best to keep your passion in check. People want to work with the best person for the job and not the biggest super fan of the club. In reality, sometimes being a fan means you might have a bit of bias, and taking a step back can provide you a bit more perspective of what you're there to achieve. It's a balance between the motivation to work where you are most invested and being the best person for the role. Keep an eye out on areas of growth, as this is where the opportunities will come. Currently in Australia, it's an amazing moment in time for women in sport, and there's a lot of funding available out there in this space. Have a look at who's got a World Cup coming up. Have a look at how the world of media is shifting and see what you can offer there. There's also wellbeing, education, and the management of concussion that are all big topics at the moment. And being across all of these things will only benefit you in the future. So that's all from me. I hope you've heard something that piques your interest in a career in sport. It is really exciting, rewarding, at times challenging, but also at times a ridiculously fun industry to work in. And I can't wait to see what you will all bring to the table when your time comes. Thanks so much. Have a great day.